Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2021 NFL Power Rankings by the Grit Sports Media by way of the Grit culture. The NFL season has been rolling along and there have been plenty of outstanding games, breakout teams, and disappointments throughout the first 3 weeks of the season. I know you're probably wondering why I waited till week 3 to make this video. Well, because by this time, you have a good gauge on who's who among all of the competition. Weeks 1 and 2 contain a lot of hot takes, really don't tell you anything at all. A lot of factors play into deciding the rankings, such as strength of schedule, the outcome of games, and personnel. You may be surprised at some of my picks, but a lot of thought goes into this. So, without further ado, here are the rankings. Another year, another episode of bad New York football. While their defense has not been the worst, their offense is absolutely non-existent, averaging a little over 6 points per game and regressing each week, culminating with a shutout loss at Denver on Sunday. This is a young team with a rookie quarterback, but you don't get any worse than these first 3 weeks. New Yorkers can't catch a fucking break. Good thing the Knicks are showing gradual signs of improvement. The Giants fumbled away 2 extremely winnable games to 2 very subpar teams and got stomped at home in week 1 by the 3-0 Denver Broncos, who have played outstanding football but still have much to prove. Because of their winless record and weak strength of schedule, they sit at the 31st position. The only reason they sit above the New York Giants is because 2 of their losses are by 3-0 teams, the Broncos and the Cardinals, respectively. And their Week 1 loss came by Thru Taylor and a very game Houston Texans squad. Other than that, the Jaguars suck. The Detroit Lions sit at the 29th spot because, despite their lack of talent, they've matched up against contenders in all 3 of their weeks. They put on a rally to make the San Francisco game closer than what it should have been, and had it not been for an NFL record 66-yard game-winning field goal by Justin Tucker, Detroit would have won in the win column. Baltimore's Justin Tucker amassed 19 more yards on his record-breaking kick than what the Chicago Bears offense put together in Cleveland on Sunday. 47 goddamn yards. Their win over Cincinnati is good enough to give them the 28th spot. This team still hasn't gotten over their Super Bowl loss. It's been hell in the 4 years since. Matt Ryan's getting no help on the front line, and the defense continues to be historically awful. But they did show flashes of what they're capable of on offense in the blowout loss against Tampa Bay, despite giving up 49 points, and they finally woke up enough to squeak by the terrible New York Giants last Sunday. The Texans definitely exceeded our expectations through 6 quarters. Poor Thru Taylor just can't seem to catch a break. He's performed well with every organization he's been with, but the injury bug keeps biting him. But given the history of what follows Taylor's injuries, there might be a silver lining for Houston with David Mills taking the helm. With their 1-point loss to the Dolphins in Week 1, they could very easily be 2-1. But they're working at offense behind a rookie quarterback with little to no notable weapons. And while they were blown out by a New Orleans Saints team that is hard to figure out, they handled their business against the Jets in convincing fashion. Their tough defense grinded out a win in Foxborough in Week 1, and they nearly edged out Las Vegas in overtime at Allegiant. With Tua expected to miss the next 3 weeks, the question will be, who provides the best chance of winning for the Dolphins? The 2020 first-round pick or the backup Jacoby Brissett? Miami has invested in Tua, and while Brissett has repeatedly shown to be a good, serviceable QB, they will need more if they expect to make a playoff push. They went toe-to-toe with the Chargers, and Taylor Heineke has shown that he has what it takes to be a starter in this league. But their defense has regressed, and it's not performing at the level of what they produced in 2020. Matter of fact, outside of week 1, it's been one of the worst in the league. They only survived the Giants because of New York's mental lapse. Despite them being 0-3, I have the Colts above many 1-2 teams because of the strength of their competition. The Seattle game was closer than the score suggests, and they nearly knocked off the Los Angeles Rams. Their defense still continues to be great, but they have a lot of work to do on the offensive side of the ball, and Carson Wentz has to limit the dumb mistakes. Philadelphia shocked everyone in week 1, blowing out Atlanta the way they did. And they played San Francisco extremely close, but ultimately fell short, and they showed flashes of brilliance in their Monday night blowout loss to Dallas. The Steelers were blindsided by Cincinnati on Sunday, the team that they've owned for years, but I wouldn't count them out quite yet. Mike Tomlin usually keeps his boys ready and in a position to be respected, even when everybody's counting them out. We'll see where Pittsburgh goes from here. Despite their terrible showing in Chicago, they only lost the game by 3 points. With their wins over Minnesota and Pittsburgh, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase forming their chemistry, and Joe Mixon remaining healthy so he can continue to do what he does, the Bengals are trending upwards. Their defense is outstanding, and Teddy Bridgewater continues to be a winner like he's always shown himself capable of being. But despite Denver being undefeated, I'm still not convinced yet. With their wins coming over weak competition, the Giants, the Jaguars, and the Jets. They'll have their first true test this Sunday at home against Baltimore. I don't know what to think of this team yet. They are still outstanding on defense. As far as offense, they still have weapons, but they haven't shown that they're explosive yet. They annihilated Green Bay in the opening week, but then proceeded to follow up the win with an absolute dud against Carolina. And yes, I know they were missing a few of their offensive coordinators for that contest, but still. And shutting down an unimpressive New England offense is nothing to write home about. Their best win so far is their Week 2 smashing of the New Orleans Saints, which, as we stated before, still can't truly pinpoint. In their other 2 wins, they barely snuck by the Jets and a shutdown of David Mills-led Texans team. The Seahawks have a lot of issues on the defensive side of the ball, and it definitely reared its head when they squandered away the 14-point lead to the Tennessee Titans in Week 2 to end up losing in overtime. And this past Sunday, despite Minnesota's 1-2 record, they are a very dangerous team. The Arizona Cardinals found that out the week before, so it was no surprise to see Minnesota perform the way they did against Seattle. Expect this Seahawks team to bounce back. They've shown themselves to be an extremely tough and dangerous team through the first 3 weeks. Their loss in Cincinnati was by a field goal in overtime. They lost by 1 to the Cardinals in Arizona, and they dominated the Seahawks. We'll see where this team goes from here. I have San Francisco at the 13th spot due to their performance in Week 1 against Detroit. They had a substantial lead but blew it and let Detroit back into the game toward the end. They also barely beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Though they're usually one of the NFL's elite, the Packers don't crack the top 10 spot because of the ass kicking they received by the New Orleans Saints in Week 1. But they have won 2 straight since, and I expect them to continue to rise in the rankings as the season goes along. If it wasn't for careless turnovers by the Kansas City Chiefs, and Justin Tucker hitting a 66-yard field goal to beat the Lions, not to mention a blown delay of game penalty call that was missed, the Ravens could very easily be 0-3. The Chargers defense played well in the first 2 weeks, nearly beat the Cowboys. Then they defeated the defending AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead in convincing fashion. We'll see if they can maintain this momentum. This team was completely asleep for the first 6 quarters of this season, but then they finally decided to turn it on, and they have looked like the Tennessee Titans that we have all become familiar with. The Raiders' defense has most definitely improved, most notably on the front line, and their offense, led by Derek Carr, has been as dynamic as ever. But Sunday's overtime win over Miami was a little too close for comfort. But the organization has their first 3-0 start since 2002, including impressive wins over perennial AFC North juggernauts, Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Lost to the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers on opening night by a field goal, and they got a tough win in Los Angeles over the Chargers, and they completely dominated their NFC East rival Philadelphia last Monday night, and they still have some pieces who are out. This team could finally be a strong contender. They lost their season opener at home to a tough Pittsburgh Steelers team, but since they've won 2 straight, and even though it hasn't been against strong competition, they've handled their business in a manner that a top team is expected to handle it, shutting out the Dolphins in Miami and destroying Washington this past Sunday. This team is pretty damn good, and they showed that in their Week 1 blowout of the Tennessee Titans. The only thing keeping this team from being ranked higher was their shaky win over Minnesota and their slow start against Jacksonville. They lost a close opener in Kansas City despite being flawless for a large portion of the game, but I think that was more of a testament to Kansas City's power. They have since handled business in their 2 subsequent games against Houston and Chicago, holding the latter to a measly 47 yards of total offense. Come at me on this one. I know you guys are a prisoner of the moment, but let's be realistic. The Kansas City Chiefs are still one of the NFL's elite teams. And no, this is not bias. I'm a Raiders fan. The defense has been incredibly weak, giving up over 30 points a game. But all 3 of their games have been against very strong competition. Cleveland played virtually flawless football before giving up 2 turnovers at the end of the game, and the Chiefs still won convincingly. Kansas City had complete control of the Baltimore game and could have easily won if it wasn't for careless mistakes, and also more careless mistakes and turnovers in the game against Los Angeles, which can easily be corrected. But even when Kansas City finds themselves in the deep hole, they close the gap pretty effortlessly. Don't let the 1-2 record fool you. This take will age gracefully as the season progresses. The Super Bowl champions have talent from top to bottom. Their only weakness lies within their secondary. They just ran into a potential juggernaut in the Los Angeles Rams last Sunday at SoFi. The LA Rams are primed and ready to make a run for the title. They already have arguably the best defense in the NFL, led by Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. And now they have a gunslinger behind the center in Matthew Stafford, who is forming an outstanding chemistry with Cooper Kupp. And they also have many other weapons on the offensive side of the ball. And with their dominating win over the defending Super Bowl champs, they are proving that they are a force to be reckoned with. So there you go. The NFL Power Rankings from 32 to 1. Let me know what you think in the comments section. If I have certain teams ranked too high or too low, or if I have it at the perfect position. Leave your thoughts in the comment section and please hit that subscribe button. They will be updated next week following next week's Monday night game. Until then, it's been real.